Check it out. We got some words from Luke, and this comes from a story that we know called the prodigal son. You may have heard of that one before, right? Where the one son says, "Hey, I want my inheritance now because I'm going to go live large right now. I'm not going to wait." And so he takes off and lives large, and he blows everything, and he feels like he can't come home because he squandered everything, right? But then he ends up coming home, and he's welcomed back, right? And in fact, there's a big celebration because he comes home. So this is the last verse of that story, and it goes like this. "But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And so when you look at the 15th chapter of Luke, it's fascinating because the whole chapter of Luke is about lost stuff. It's all about lost stuff. There's a story about a coin that gets lost. There's a story about the lost sheep, right? And then there's the story of the lost son, which is, I just kind of gave you the thumbnail sketch of that story, the prodigal son. And lots of stuff gets lost throughout all of the Bible. But Luke chapter 15, there's lots of lost stuff to kind of think about. But what's interesting about all the stories of lost stuff in the Bible, we never have that lostness connected to anyone being angry, frustrated, abused, harassed. None of that. And what that tells me is that God expects us to be lost. And what that tells me is that God is real okay with the fact that sometimes His children get a little bit lost. When I misplace something, when I lose something, I'm going to tell you right now, I get crazy. It drives me nuts, right? Because I know exactly where I thought I put it. And you know what I do is I start looking around the house and I keep going back to the same place. Do you ever do that? It's like, I know it's in the car, and I go back to the car and I look in the exact same places. It's still not there. Oh, it's in the pile of mail on the kitchen counter. I go and I'll rummage through that 6 times. Maybe a little OCD. Maybe that's not healthy. But I keep going back to the same places, and it makes me crazy. It makes me super frustrating. But you know, that's what it's like to be human, right? We lose stuff, and it makes us crazy. But again, reality is this: being lost is part of the journey, and God is okay with that. So in these times where we get lost, or we get separated from God, where we have friends or family who get a little bit lost and they get separated from God, God doesn't throw a tantrum. God doesn't get crazy like I do. God waits. And He doesn't wait tapping His foot. There's no anxiety in that. He's not anxious. God just waits. And He waits with open arms. And when we find our way back home, God always, always rejoices. So, I want to pull a page from God's playbook. I want to be unanxious in those moments of being lost. And I want to be ready to receive with open arms. And that's my prayer for all of us tonight, in those moments, those times where we're lost or when our loved ones are lost from us, that we be unanxious and we be ready with open arms, like God is with us. Amen, amen.